Today I'd like to share with you the story of how I was adopted by this beautiful street dog and how I ended up raising 17 of her puppies. So in order to tell you how we got here now, I have to go all the way back to the beginning of the story and tell you how I met Honey. Honey and I met about a year ago now in January of 2024. Last year during the winter time, I made it a goal of mine to go out running every morning. So I would run the same loop every morning around my neighborhood. And one morning, I believe it was like January 10th or something like this, but I remember coming home and my door was open. And I remember thinking, that's really strange, I don't remember leaving my door open. So I went inside and there happened to be a very pregnant dog laying on my couch. So she broke into my house and simultaneously broke into my heart. Is that a little bit cheesy? I think so, but it is true. And this was quite a surprise to me because she wasn't a familiar dog to me. She wasn't a dog that I had seen around the neighborhood before. So I went around to my neighbors' houses and with the help of some Google Translate, I asked them if she happened to look familiar, if they knew anybody who was missing a dog who was pregnant, and every answer was no, unfortunately. So me being who I am, I couldn't just kick her out of my house and leave her to have her babies on the street. So I took her in. And as I mentioned, she was already fairly pregnant at the time. I think it only ended up being a week or two until she gave birth to her babies. And that is a whole story, oh my gosh. I won't go too deeply into it, but she ended up with her first puppy. She climbed up into my bed and decided to give birth to her first puppy in my bed with me. Which was a very special experience, I will say that much. Anyway, this isn't about the first litter, this is actually about the second litter, but we had a first litter and she had 7 beautiful, beautiful babies during that time, and we found them all amazing homes, all of them to Thai families in the area, some farmers, and most of them went in groups of 2. So they got to be with their brother and or sister. It felt really difficult to give away another being's babies. Obviously, it was for the best because it's not beneficial to have more dogs on the street without homes. So the only logical answer was to find them all homes, of course. People who will love them and look after them and care for them. And so obviously that was my #1 priority, but there was a lot of guilt weighing on my heart because I'm a woman and I know the feeling of wanting to be a mother, how natural it is. And so there was a huge part of me that was really conflicted in what to do, and also in the choice to get her spayed. That was also really difficult for me because it felt unfair. She still wasn't my dog and I still don't really consider her to be mine now either. She's very much still a free dog. I just happened to be the one she adopted, and I'm happy to look after her and care for her in that way. So then, once all of the first litter puppies had their homes, of course the next step, the very logical next step, is to get her spayed. And the morning of, a friend came to help me transport her. We were transporting her in a sidecar. So my friend was driving the motorbike, and then it's essentially like a wagon that's on the side of the motorcycle. It was me sitting in with her, and she was like sat on my lap, and I was hugging her like this. And I think she had never been transported anywhere before, so was really, really anxious. And she just wiggled right out of my arms and jumped out of the sidecar. It ended up taking quite some time for her to really warm up to me again and trust me, which, you know, I'm really grateful for. And when she did start trusting me again and started coming around the house more often, we noticed that she happened to drop right back into her heat cycle, which makes sense. It was about 6 months after her last litter. So all of the boys' soy dogs were coming down the road and hanging outside of my house and trying to break into my yard. Many of them figured out how to jump over my like 4-foot concrete wall that is outside of my house. There were dog fights outside on my street because everyone was trying to fight over her. It got wild. Needless to say, at this point, we knew that it was fated, and I knew that I was going to be a puppy mom yet again. There was nothing I could do at that point because unfortunately where I'm at in Thailand, in my town, the vets will not operate on a dog when they're in heat. So in my case, unfortunately, it just wasn't possible, and it was inevitable for me to have another litter of puppies. Oh, baby. You see, oh, can you see? He just crawled up in there. Ugh. So as you can see, with this very beautiful and sweet puppy sitting in my lap just here, I decided that I, again, couldn't turn her away, and I had to provide her a safe place to give birth and care for her puppies, and yet again, look for new homes. So this is actually what this video is about this sweet little boy here and his litter of puppies, which was, gosh, I think they're about 2 months now, a little bit more. I want to show you the whole process, everything that we went through, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. As time goes by, her little belly starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden it is absolutely impossible to deny that she is in fact pregnant.
See that baby? You're so pretty.
I think this pregnancy was a lot harder on her than her first one. You can see here how massive her belly truly is. So then, as her due date was inevitably coming up, she disappeared. And there was a part of me that felt really anxious and really worried, but there was also another part of me that knew wherever she had chosen to have her babies was the place that she felt the most protected. And I ended up finding out that she had her babies at my neighbor's house, which is just up the road from my house. My neighbors are so sweet and so wholesome. They don't speak very much English, but they ended up coming down to my house one day, maybe 5 or 6 days after she had her puppies. And they told me, hey, the dog has had her puppies in our yard. We built her a little nest for them, but we're unable to take care of them, so we need you to take over. Of course, I said yes, so me and my friend Kit ended up waking up pretty early in the morning and going to pick them up. So we ended up finding out that there were 10 babies at this time, and this felt definitely like a lot, but they looked so small, so we were like, oh, it's gonna be fine, they're so small. But 10 was a lot. We pulled them up out of their little makeshift nest that the neighbors had built for them and put them in this little basket to take them home.
Okay, don't go in there, don't go in there, there's too many. It's okay, it's okay. It's so many puppies. So small. Oh. The littlest baby one. You're so dirty. Your eyes aren't even open yet. Is this tiny? Nice little puppies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's take them home. Good job.
At this point, my boyfriend was returning back from a work trip in Bangkok, so he didn't actually know that I had taken them in just yet, and this is him hanging out with them for the first time. He was definitely hesitant about it at first, but I think he really ended up loving them. They spent the first week at our house inside, and we didn't really take them out or do much with them because their eyes were still opening. They were mostly sleeping and eating and pooping, and that was about it. But then once their eyes started to open and they really started to kind of like wobble about, we started to take them outside into our yard in the garden and get them familiar with exploring. Since there were so many puppies this time around, I wanted to do an introductory video to introduce you to each one. These are our two little boys, the clown boy and the otter. The otter boy is actually who I'm holding right now. His name is now Kaitun, which means egg pudding. And this next one, we have our twins. We have our little bear and our big bear, although I might be switching the order. They look very similar. Then these next ones are little Romeo on the left, and then the little husky boy on the right. And then we have our two girls. This is Saunoi on the left, that's Yanni's favorite, and our other little girl. And finally, we have our two fluffy boys. The left is Mutun, and on the right we have the Bangkeo boy. The little fluffy Bangkeo is actually a Thailand native breed. At this point, the puppies are about maybe 4 weeks old or so, and they're starting to get quite lively and quite rambunctious, so we decided to build them a puppy playpen, which I actually ordered online, and I'm really grateful for because it was only like 800 baht, and it made my life so much easier this time around. So here's our process of building it, and then you can see afterwards, here's Yanni inside with all the puppies, giving them some love. In this clip, you can see Yanni picking up little Saunoi, which was his favorite puppy of the litter. And he was just so sweet with her. It was so lovely to watch.
We know that's your favorite.
Of course, throughout the process, I also tried to make sure that Mama received a lot of love and a lot of attention because 10 puppies was absolutely ridiculous, especially when you only have 8 nipples to feed your babies. When you have 10, it's just a little bit unmanageable to have all of them on you all at once. As you can see in this video, she does so good at handling it all. She is such an absolutely amazing mom.
You do so good.
She didn't complain, although she did run away often. My goodness, they really did grow up so fast. It was like one day they couldn't walk, they couldn't see, all they could do was whimper and cry. And the next day they were absolute demons running around the house, biting everything and barking. Okay, so I just woke up and I wanted to show you guys a little bit of the reality. They already started. A little bit of the reality of what it's like to have 10 puppies. It's gonna get worse. Oh, poor mama. Oh my god, that's crazy. Finally, around this point, we were able to kind of start to try weaning them off of the mom because she was really getting fed up with feeding so many of them. We started to introduce some food into their diets, and what we did was create a rice porridge with chicken liver, chicken entrails, chicken hearts, and chicken breast. And we would just make this into a porridge, and the puppies absolutely loved it. They would lick everything off the plates and make such a big mess in the grass. Time really does pass so quickly, and I think when you're watching little creatures grow up so exponentially fast, you really become aware of this. Because gosh, it was like one day they were just born, and the next they were getting big enough to start going to their forever homes. So pretty soon we were spending our last few days with the puppies and giving them a lot of love and a lot of play, and then they started to meet their new owners. Some of them came over early to start meeting them, and then within a few weeks, about a week or two, all the puppies had gone to their new homes and we were left alone. So in these videos you can see us saying goodbye to some of the puppies and handing them off to their new owners, which of course were really sad moments for us, but they were also incredibly proud and happy moments for us as well. It was really hard to give away these sweet little babies because we just poured so much love into them, but it also made me feel really proud and really content with the fact that all of them are going to really incredible families here, with local families with children who are going to get to grow up alongside of these dogs, and that to me just made everything feel really worth it. And luckily enough, 2 puppies actually went to a family in my neighborhood. So they come over for play dates every now and then, and that's why they're here in my house now. Is I'm having, it's not quite a play date, I'm watching them while their family is out of town. So anyway, as I was saying, now all of the puppies have homes, which is really, really incredible. And that left little Miss Thing here. As I mentioned earlier, it was a dilemma for me to decide whether or not I get her spayed. After the second litter, that was a little bit less of a thing. I was really ready to not have another litter of puppies in a year. And so I scheduled her for an appointment to get spayed. And unfortunately, she happened to drop straight into heat, straight away. So I couldn't get her spayed here anymore. So me and my boyfriend ended up driving all the way down to Chiang Mai, which is about 3 hours from here, to take her to a hospital for an emergency spaying because, yeah, when dogs are in heat, pretty much the whole neighborhood is in heat and they all just come around ready to have babies. So it wasn't really an option anymore. I just had to get it done. I wasn't ready for 3 litters of puppies in 1 year. No way, that is absolutely crazy. So we did end up getting her spayed, and luckily enough, they actually found a tumor growing on her that they were able to remove as well. So I'm really thankful that we did end up doing that. We got her into a safe space where she's able to heal, and now she's here in the home, which she doesn't love. She doesn't love being inside the house. She really likes to be free. So for her to have to stay here, she doesn't love, But it's really important that she heals the gash in her stomach. She is a bit depressed and she keeps trying to run away. Surprisingly enough, she still has all of her strength and she has hopped over our concrete wall a few times now, actually. So she's not allowed to be outside without supervision yet. But there's only a few more days and I'm really proud of her. She's doing really well. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you guys so much for joining us today to hear about how I was adopted by this sweet creature and how I raised 17 puppies with her. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Happy family. Happy family, come in here. Come in here. Who's a happy family?